Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about the Lightroom Keywords combination website and plugin for Adobe Lightroom. So as it says here, do you hate keywording? I know I do, I can't stand doing it. So any help I can get is to the best. So coming back into Lightroom here, I will just go very quickly to the plugin manager, and you can see here I have the AI Keywording plugin. That is a very simple download from the Lightroom Keywords website. Get that installed, put in your account details, and let me just switch that off while I remember. It connects to the website, and basically what this does is to make thumbnail versions of your photos, not quite thumbnail but much smaller, and it sends them to the website, and the website distributes them to AI image recognition. Now, if you're thinking, oh yeah, I've tried that, it's useless, let's move on, this plugin is slightly different. I've tried some of the online services myself, and I agree with you completely. On the whole, they weren't very impressive. They got some right, but the majority were wrong. And this is the reason that this plugin was created. It's because any one of these systems really doesn't do that great a job on its own. There is one which stands out, but the majority of them, including from the big players, they're not actually very good. So this plugin, which itself does work from a web service, is rather different than you might expect. So let's quit that and we'll just run through some photos very quickly. So I have in here pre-selected some. I had pre-selected some. Let's go for same ones. So that's quite distinctive. That's quite distinctive. Let's try that one. Those are all quite similar. So let's move on and try something else. Let's have that, which is subtly different. Let's throw it a curveball and send that one. And there was another one down here. Let's try that one. So we have some different styles of photos down there. What else do we have? One more? Let's try that one. So all I need to do to get keywords for these is export them. Now if I just come back into the metadata panel on the right here, unfortunately it's showing mixed on a lot of these, but what that's saying is that these are set. So they will have a caption, they certainly all have GPS data, and they will also have location data. And that's important because this is all information that's taken into account by the keywording service. What you can see in common for all of them is that they only have two existing keywords, Argentina and South America. These were ones that were applied during the import process, and at the end of this sequence you will be able to see an awful lot more keywords there. So very simply, File, Export, and yes, you can use presets and everything like that, but let's just go through it. So request keywords, that's saying there that my account has 11 credits there, and I'm going to be processing 7 photos, and I need 7 credits for that. Now the way the system works is that 1 photo equals 1 credit. It's not based on size or anything silly like that. However, the service remembers which photos you've done in the past, and if you try and reanalyze the same photo, it will use the previous results. That's done very, very simply to try and save you a bit of money. If you accidentally re-export the same photos, then you don't want to have to pay for the same results again. If you want to reprocess them, then you can set that checkbox to on, and that will make the service always send them off for re-evaluation. For the time being though, we don't want to do that, so I'm just going to say export. So what Lightroom's doing now is to export these at a maximum of 512 by 512 pixels. So you have no need to worry about your full-size precious originals being sent off into the wild blue yonder of the internet. Now once these come back, and there's the first one there already, we'll be able to see some of the results. Now that's saying 1 of 1. And that's because Lightroom's still working in the background, sending off the next ones. Now it says 1 of 2, and I can skip backwards and forwards in these as I like. So what do we have here? It's some water, it's some rocks on a shore, some waves. So we have rock, water. Argentina, I'll come back to that one. Nature, rocky. This is coming from the location, I'll come back to that one. In fact, let's do it differently. Let's switch off everything that wasn't recommended. There we go. So we have all of these ones were assigned automatically. Argentina was one that existed first, so that's still included in this list, as was South America. On top of that we have rock, rocky, water, nature, travel, landscape, stone, body of water. All of these are pretty accurate, all the way down to rubble there. Now you can see that each of these has a score next to it. That's how confident the various services in use are that the keyword is relevant. As we go further down the list, it becomes less and less sure. It's not sky, so we'll leave that one selected, but boulder, smooth, wave and rubble, even though it's less sure, they're actually okay for this one. So I'm now going to switch on the location ones, and that includes this one and Santa Cruz. These are keywords that are added from the location data. If you remember, I pointed out that all of the photos I've selected do have GPS and location coordinates added. What that means is that these will now automatically be added as keywords because it's very relevant to the photo, it's where it was taken. And depending on the service that you're using, if you are going to a commercial stock library, they may or may not read the GPS and location coordinates. They may place much less emphasis on them than on actual keywords. So you can of course choose whether these will be added, but I'm going to pretty much always choose those as on for myself. Now we can see on the tooltip on caption, which has just gone away, there we go, add keywords for each significant word in the caption. So I don't think I'd added caption to any of these, and in fact that's done absolutely nothing. So yes, I hadn't added the caption. Basically that uses the caption, obviously, that you set on each photo as an indicator of which keywords you might like. So it will ignore common words, it will ignore prefixes and all of the kinds of words which don't actually add much to meaning, and it will consider those as keywords. It will also consider biasing the keywords that are recommended by the AIs in favor of any significant words in the caption. So the more information you can give it, the better. We have the same for title, which Lightroom treats as different fields. If we look down on the right here, we have title and caption. But again, I hadn't set the title on those, so it makes no difference at all. And the Alamy field is a specialist one. One of the plugins provided by the Lightroom plugins site, which is also run by the same people, is the Alamy Lightroom bridge, and this hooks the Alamy stock agency into Lightroom directly, so that you can submit and synchronize data both directions and all that kind of thing. So very briefly, if we switch on the Alamy, then any Alamy specific keywords that you've added will be included there, and these had none. If you've assigned image categories for Alamy, then the categories will also be considered as keywords and as bias for other keywords. Again, for these they had nothing there, so that makes no difference at all. Just very quickly, these values over here are also only relevant to Alamy, the score and the status. Checking this doesn't make any difference to whether that appears or not. That's purely if you have the Alamy plugin installed. That's enough about Alamy, moving swiftly on. Now, looking down this list of keywords, we saw that sky was recommended, not very confidently, and that for this particular photo it's just not relevant. So what do? We don't want that assigned. So I'm going to use these two controls down here, block globally and block for this. Block for this adds it to a block list for this specific image, and these block lists are remembered between calls of the service. So now sky won't be assigned, and even if you reprocess this image in the future, sky will still not be assigned because it will remember that you don't want these keywords assigned. So it looks as though at some point in the past I've processed this before, which comes as a bit of a surprise, and I've already blocked ocean, sea, seascape and seashore. Now, purely in the context of the image, they are probably okay. The location of the image is actually nowhere near the sea, which is why I removed those. So it depends on how mercenary you are with your keywording. If someone wanted a picture of the seashore, that would actually do. So I'm going to leave those off. Whether you would include things like that, entirely down to your conscience. If I did want to include one of them again, so let's say I wanted to include the seashore, I can simply unblock it and it gets added back to the list. But I am going to take that out. Now equally, we have a global block list, and I've already blocked quite a few. I have season there at the bottom, winter, because it's quite often inappropriate, as is summer in there, although for this one it's okay. Some of these things are the very strange sets of keywords that you may recognize if you've used some of the online evaluation services for the keywords, and they're rather strange in some cases. You know, they're okay, but rather strange. And then there's some which are just clearly wrong. Now, all you need to do to add something to that would be to select it, and you can select more than one at a time, but I'm not going to. So if I wanted to never ever add a keyword of outdoor, I could block globally, and then it won't be considered for any photo ever from now on. You could of course assign that yourself manually inside Lightroom. However, I do want that, so I'm going to reinstate outdoor and outdoors, which I may have blocked previously. Yep, that's got the two of them. Right, moving on to the next section, we have at the top here a thumbnail, obviously, so you can see the photo you're working with, and we have the existing keywords. These are the ones that are already in Lightroom over here. 2 words, if the word count is important to you, and the Alamy stuff, which I already said I wouldn't mention again. Beneath that, we have the final tab. This shows you the set of keywords that you will end up with if you accept it as it is. And we have added, so these are the ones that are going to be added to your photo as the result of this, and any that are removed. So there's none being removed, but there are quite a few being added. Now in my case, I want a few more than 23 if this is going to go to a stock service. So let's see what we can do. Rock, and let's come down to synonyms. Choose the correct context for the synonyms. As everyone knows, English is horribly vague, which makes it great for jokes and poetry, not so great for accurately describing things. Each word can have a number of different meanings. It's a lump or mass of hard consolidated mineral matter. Well, that's correct for this one. Or it can be a number of other things. However, that is correct. That one looks pretty similar to me, but I don't like material or stuff as synonyms of rock, so I'm going to ignore those. Natural object, well, yes, but let's see, what else have we got? Travel, travel from place to place, travel, self-propelled movement, make a trip for pleasure, that seems appropriate. Trip or jaunt, neither one that I particularly want as a synonym, but let's add trip. Now we have at the bottom here 2 buttons, add synonyms and add Lightroom synonyms. The first one simply adds it to the list of keywords that will be assigned to this photo, and we can see that this changed immediately and this changed immediately. However, I don't want it on there, so I'm going to block. So let's try something else. Coast. No, it is not moving swiftly along a surface. Shore of a sea or ocean. Seacoast or seacoast. Well, let's try that one. What I'm going to do now is add it as a Lightroom synonym. Now, if you're not very familiar with the way that Lightroom handles keywords, you really should become familiar with it, because you're missing out on one of the best features of Lightroom. It handles keywords in hierarchies, and it also handles things like this, which is synonyms. So every time you add a keyword to a photo in Lightroom, you can also completely automatically add additional words. No work to you whatsoever. And it takes effect for every photo that has that keyword assigned to it, which means that once you come across a good synonym, you can add a lot of keywords to a lot of photos with no effort whatsoever. So let's say I add a Lightroom synonym of seacoast to the keyword coast. Now let's filter on coast. And we have this one. We also have coastline and that one, which I probably need to consolidate. So let's have a look at the properties of coast. That's right click and edit keyword tag. And we can see in there include on export, export containing, export synonyms, and there currently are no synonyms. So let's cancel that, bring the keyword review window back to the front, and I'm going to add a Lightroom synonym. Now in here immediately we have seacoast, in here we have seacoast, and if I now right click on this, provided Lightroom has updated this, we have a synonym of seacoast, which means that each of these 30 photos which have coast assigned to them now also have a keyword of seacoast. And you can add synonyms to anything you like which has this plus symbol next to it. If there's no plus, then we couldn't find any synonyms. We've seen everything that there is in here. We have the list of keywords that have come back from the service. We have the prioritized list, which takes into account a great number of things, not simply the confidence that one AI service places on that keyword. It uses location, caption, title, Alamy data if you're using the Alamy plugin. It uses a thesaurus. It uses the meanings of the words to try and increase the confidence of the confidence scores, which means that the keywords that you get should, on balance, be much more accurate than you would expect. Now, I'm fully expecting, as we go through these, that we will see photos which have been given keywords which are entirely inappropriate, and that is something that's always going to happen. There is no automatic option on this. So all I need to do now is click Apply, and the final two options, Add to a modified collection, which I will show you in a moment, and go to Next after Apply. That's simply to stop you having to click Apply and then click on the Next button. So let's come down and find the modified photos. There we go, modified keywords, and we have one. That's one I did the other day. So if I come back in here and I click Apply, then this photo will end up with 24 keywords. This will move on to the next, and the picture of the boulders on the shore will appear in the modified keywords collection. Now this is done so that you find out very quickly afterwards which photos you've worked with if you didn't add them to a collection yourself, and that makes it very easy to work out which ones you may need to resubmit or synchronize with a stock agency. You don't have to use this if you don't choose to. So next photo, I'm going to leave all of this on. All of these so far seem fairly good. Water, sky, cold. This one we do have a little bit of sky in the background. There was a dark storm cloud in the background that day. Ocean, no, not for this. Frosty landscape, it's not sea either. Frost, reasonable. And scenic, not seashore. Melting, yes, that's appropriate. Glacial landform. Ice cap, yeah, that's stretching things a little, but I can understand why it seems relevant for that photo. Arctic Ocean, definitely not. Glacial Lake, definitely. It's not sea ice, but it is blue. Now the colours are automatically reduced in confidence dramatically, simply because they were coming up far, far too often. And I'm going to block. I now have 26 keywords. I'm happy with all of those, and I'm going to apply. Next. Do this one a bit faster. Let's just have a look at the final list. Daylight, fjord, yeah, frosty, frozen, glacial lake, glacial landform. Lake, landscape, melting, yes. Mountains, outdoors, scenic sky, snow, yes. The snow on the mountains. South America, travel, tree, water, yes, correct. Next. What do we have here? Alps, no. Where's Alps? There's Alps. If you can't see a keyword, you can sort alphabetically as well. So let's do that and block. And then put it back in score order, just because I prefer working that way. Blue, cave, no, it's not a cave. Okay, I'll give in. Alright, cave, no. Cove, yeah, okay. Glacier Lake, Glacier Hike, yes, it's relevant to hiking. It's a big hiking destination. Not ocean. I'm just control selecting these to get more than one at a time. Reflection, dimly, rock, rocky, it's not sea or seashore, but the rest are okay. Block for this, we have 30, move on. Now, at the moment, sometimes Lightroom does this, it just gets the aspect wrong. There we go. If it does, just move on and come back, and it seems to get it right the second time. I've looked at fixing this a number of times, and it genuinely seems to be a Lightroom thing. Now here, this is a totally different type of photo. What do we have here? Agriculture, not really, these were wild. Berry, branch, bush, close-up, yeah. I didn't have close-up in there before, but it's picked up close-up. I suppose it's a kind of conifer type thing. You could say that it was a crop of berries, they are edible. Evergreen, flora, food, fruit, garden, no. Ground cover, yes, it's a very low plant. Lingonberry, no, I don't think it was. So I'll take that one out. Again, whether you choose to take the slightly dubious ones is entirely up to you. If someone was looking for a photo of lingonberries and this was close enough to fool most people, you may decide that that's okay for the additional sales. I can't remember what type of berries these were, but they weren't lingonberries, so I'm going to take it out. Plant produce, it is certainly not a radish. There's one which is just completely nuts, but as with lingonberry, it's not entirely sure about those. So, glossing over the radishes, what else do we have? Sub-shrub, good word, but I don't want it. Vegetable, vegetation, wood, and yew. It is not a yew, and that's 99%. I suppose, in a way, it does look like a photo of yew berries, as a close-up of yew berries. However, in this case, it isn't so. Block, we still have 27 words, and that's without going in and trying to pick up any synonyms. Do we have a synonym maybe for evergreen? Evergreen plant, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, let's add evergreen plant as a Lightroom synonym. That gets us up to 28 keywords. Apply, 28 keywords applied, and move on to the next. Stop it, Lightroom. Okay, totally different picture again. Bay, boat, city, clouds, yep, all relevant. Dock, yep, harbour. What else do we have? That's... can't remember where that is actually, but ocean would be relevant. There's a cruise ship in the background. Pier, port, sea, seashore, yep. I'm going to take all of those. Apply. And the last one, stop it Lightroom, is again something totally different. Let's put these back in score order. Wheel, yes. Cannon, yes. Ground, yep, there's ground in that photo. Door, travel, weaponry, Wooden, old. None of these were added by me manually. The only ones I had before were Argentina and South America, and no captions and titles. So all of these are what's been provided by the services, plus the secret source of the filtering inside the server and the plugin. Mode of transport, only if you're a human cannonball, so that one can come out. Daylight, summer, tourism, vintage, yes. Vacation. Water, no, the water was behind me, that's a bit too clever. Landscape, military, vehicle, and blue, and I'm going to take out vehicle as well. Block, and apply. Right, I'm done. That's 7 photos keyworded. Now this has taken about 25 minutes plus a bit of wittering, and that might not seem much of an improvement over doing it manually, because 7 photos in 25 minutes is quite a long time. However, when I was going through some of those quickly, you can see that actually if you're not talking about it, if you're not describing it, you can get through one of these in 10 or 15 seconds. Call it a minute if you're being really careful and hunting for synonyms. So all I need to do now is close. All of those changes have been applied. If we come in and select some of these, let's just scroll up again on the right, you can see that Lightroom has all of these keywords under will export. So if you have any need at all for keywording photos, and you're not the kind of person that can look at one and instantly come up with a list of dozens of relevant words, then this really should be something of interest to you. Have a look at the website, www.lightroom-keywords.com. It gives you a lot of information about how the service works, what you need to do to get it going, which is basically create a free account on the server and install the plugin. You get 5 photos for free, you get more photos for free if you're already a Lightroom plugins customer, and you get even more photos for free if you are a Lightroom plugins Alamy customer. So you really have nothing to lose. Install the plugin, set up the free account, and give it a go. See how you get on with it. Thanks very much for your attention, and I hope this is of use.